Hi everybody, my name is Bobbie Richardson. I am a seer, a psychic, a channeler. I channel a lot of my information through. I've had a very strong connection to my soul, and I've had a lot of beings come and share their wisdom with me, and I've actually seen them with my own eyes, not just within my mind. So I don't actually see them anymore, but I channel through a lot more. And because I've learned how to acknowledge their frequency, I can generally get a general feeling of where it's coming from. Also, if I ask to tap into, then that was what will come through. So today I did get a message last night, and I'm going to bring this up because it was really important for humanity's growth and where we're going, and also opposing any sort of evil entities or anything like that. How we're shifting our vibration out of all of that, so that we're no longer victim to that, because we're taking our power back and we're not coming from the lack of anymore. So when I was going through a lot of my work, we're talking decades ago, and I was still victim to my own reality. I had some fears around darkness, because I could see different entities walking past my doors and stuff like that. I like to have all my doors closed, right? Like you would if you could see into different dimensional places when you wake up. So wardrobes and that, I always make sure they're closed before I go to sleep. And last night I went to bed with one of my wardrobes was crack open, enough for me to see if there was someone behind that in the darkness. And I was thinking, I don't really care anymore. It doesn't worry me to close it. And I was thinking, if someone did look through, I don't think that would happen anymore. And I had this like guidance or channeling come through, telepathy come through, saying, if anything of lower vibration looked through the crack of your wardrobe into your reality now, because you're in a higher frequency and you've taken your power back and you know who you are, you've supported who you are, all they would see is bright white light. It'd be like if we stepped into a higher frequency, the first thing you see is bright white light, because it's too higher frequency for your eyes to be able to handle, and so they can't see into that energy. It's just too high a frequency. Then they took me to remembering a video that I saw on YouTube, and that video was about the ones that were in charge. I'm not saying they're in charge anymore, right? But when they were in charge, they still feel like they're still trying to be in charge now. When they had tripped up over a black box, and I think it was called looking through the looking glass or something like that. It was a YouTube talk. It was on somebody that had found out this information, that they had found this so-called black box of information, and they could look into it, or something, or was an hourglass of some sort, something that they could look into and perceive the future and predict the future, and always be one step ahead, for them to be in charge and be able to wield the energies and create issues and problems and keep humanity in fear. So they were always being able to see just that one step ahead of us, because we were the victims and they were overseers of our consciousness, because we're given our consciousness literally away to them. They could only see to a certain point, and then all they saw was bright white light, and they couldn't see past that. So they They knew then that they were in trouble. And that's literally what's happening at the moment as humanity starts taking their power back and we start becoming more authentically us and aligning us with our source energy, our souls, trusting our intuition again to help guide us, and using our emotions to purge all of that before and guide us as well. We become higher vibrational, and then no matter what, they can't see us anymore. So they only see, when they look into trying to find, say for instance me, they'll only see bright white light. Even in a remote viewing, they just will see this white light, and they won't understand what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do, what I'm teaching, what I'm, who I am about, where I'm at. And so they have no control over me anymore. And each and every one of us, as we lift up our vibration into that we take our power back and trust our soul at the core as a light emanating from ourselves, then they can only see white light. So that's how they fall, because they have no control over us anymore, and we end up emanating into a most peaceful, beautiful scenario, creating the reality that we really desire and we really love. So that was the message that I got from that. Now I want to channel through. I know Gaia wants to speak at the moment as well, so I'm going to channel that through and see what she has to say. So I'm going to take, even though I'm channeling, I'm going to take the shamanic animal cards. There's a reason for it. So I'm just going to go with this flow of energy. I might not even use them. It's just holding. So these have a whole heap of different animals on them from, they're all just animals. It's like holding all of the animals' energy in me. It's interesting. So let's see, let's tap into Gaia through these cards, through the animals, through to Gaia. Okay, she's coming through as saying that as we go into these higher frequencies, there is expansion of animals, because in the higher frequencies there is different, they can come across as animals, but they're a lot more etheric in nature, and that's because we're going into that ourselves. So we might come across, first up, spirit balls coming our way, flashes of light, seeing wisps of energy out in nature. All of that will start coming up. Min balls. There's a whole heap more to nature, past the limitations of just material. So all those etheric kind of beings, we've got the elementals really shining through here. We'll start to be able to converse and interact with humanity through teaching how to garden again, and what medicines can be used for what illnesses, and then having faith within our own self and that connection that we can utilize all of that. That's how it was done in the past anyway. Many tribes would have shamans that would dream of being told what medicine was needed for the tribe, or whoever was sick. Also, the intelligence of animals is upping a level, like their consciousness is expanding as well. And this goes hand in hand with humanity's expansion. As we become more telepathic within our own self, we start to see that the cats and that are starting to converse with us more. We have a more understanding of what they're trying to say, and it seems almost like they become human in a sort of a way where they can communicate in their looks and who they are and what they need. A lot of it looks like, from our point of view, that all of a sudden animals are starting to be able to talk to us, and not as in words like us, but telepathically talk to us in energy. And that was the other reason why even on YouTube they have those buttons that they can push. And we're starting to realize that our pets actually have more understanding than what we've given them or thought that they had, just because they didn't have expressions on their face, that humans ignored that, because logic likes to look for expressions of somebody to have feeling, but they do have immense feeling for their owners. So you might find wild animals are starting to save other animals, and there's just a lot more understanding between humanity and animals, and Gaia knows this to be important for humanity's consciousness to understand that in stepping in these higher frequencies we can ground them and use or utilize the magical codes within plants and animals to help us. There's been a huge crack in the veil, like that's just due to many light workers taking their power back and then helping guide others as well to take their power back. So that has thinned the veil to the point where we're literally shifting out of one vibration into another. It's similar to, in quantum physics, they will find a particle spinning and then all of a sudden it disappears. It's actually spun so fast that our limited consciousness couldn't see it in our story anymore, couldn't see it in our reality anymore, and so it went into another reality, and that's the more etheric world, compared to where we're at in that third dimensional aspect of ourselves. So the particle, molecule, whatever, that's spinning really fast, there has a threshold where it pops into another reality. But if humanity's consciousness does this self, then all that was hidden in respect of etherical beings or mystical beings will now show themselves, first of all in shadow form or light form or wisps of light, and then it will become more and more stronger as we become used to being in the higher love frequency. That's where they're residing. So the card that fell out was the Coyote, Revealer of Truth, which is really interesting because of how I'm channeling Gaia at the moment and speaking the truth of what this feels like for me to be able to relate it and share it with you. Yeah, so the Revealer of Truth, I'm really feeling it's this beautiful coyote is to do with speaking up, but also to do with there is a level, a next level that we're reaching into, if if um, if we're caught in a lower, limited, logical frequency, then everything will feel like you're going crazy, because the logic doesn't want to accept that there's something outside of its story that it's known so far in your reality, in your world. It's only when we start to accept, our logic starts to accept that our imagination does have an essence, an understanding of something outside of the story. In other words, into past lives, into different etheric fields on Gaia. Then when logic's on board with that and understanding that there is more, then in the acceptance we don't go crazy, we just expand, and know that we're only coming from our heart and love for all, and supporting ourselves and trusting that when we jump off a cliff into these etheric worlds, everything is reflected back as that love and support anyway. But if you were caught in a mind loop of self-sabotaging, victimized thoughts, when the energy shifts and the veil starts to fall, you will see all as your enemy. You will see all as monsters. You will see all as coming at you because they are showing you where you're lacking, where you didn't support yourself, and the universe sees you as what you see yourself. And if you see yourself as a victim, then you keep becoming that victim. You keep staying small as that victim is. So it's very important at the moment, as Gaia is shifting and expanding through the consciousness of humanity's collective. She only wants to go into this with love. So all others that are out of balance will fall away. They won't be able to see into our reality that we're creating with love and light, and the higher frequencies, in the loving frequencies. But we will be able to observe them, but we don't get caught into their reality. It's like standing at the top of a well and they're down in the well doing their thing. So we become the observer. All we can do is shine our light. And what happens is, you won't meet them anymore, because we're always one step ahead of them instead of them being one step ahead of us, with that so-called magic box of prediction that they had to be able to keep control of everything. That falls away for them, because we become the creators of our own existence, and they don't know where we're going because they can't see into it anymore. So Gaia is preparing us through these next few years of understanding and not fearing the unknown, because there's so much more that's going to come our way, that we won't be fearing the unknown anymore. We will accept it as interaction with things beyond what our limited logical mind could have handled before. If you were a child and you were just born in this world now, they would see things anyway. They always did. Many of them did anyway. And so when we were little babies, we came from energy, so we saw everything as energy. It was only due to the program that was the veil pulled over the parents of the baby or the teachers of that baby, and the baby's looking to fit into this world of limitations, and where are the boundaries? When the boundaries are so held in hostage, they were really held humanity's consciousness in hostage. A baby couldn't see, when it saw outside of that, it was told that it wasn't it wasn't acceptable. So they shut it down and became very limited, like their mothers and their fathers, because they wanted to be accepted by their mother and their father at the moment, or their teachers, or those in charge, you know, of countries and so forth. So yeah, this initial, like next month, there's opening or cracking of the veil. Don't be afraid. The ones that are, if you've risen into your own self-empowerment, the ones that are still caught in the old limitations won't be able to see past that anyway. So you're free then. You're more freer than what you expect. You're freer to explore different communications with elementals and plants and animals. You're freer to explore telepathy of humanity's consciousness. Freer to trust your intuition to guide you into your happiest place. And so you're above the old program. And even if they did enforce a rule over top of humanity, they couldn't enforce it in a way anymore that would encapsulate everyone. They're trying to enforce certain rules and laws would not affect those that took their power back anyway, because those that took their power back will see other opportunities beyond that law or that rule that was restricting them into a fear-based scenario. It's like she's literally giving birth to a new earth through humanity's consciousness. Yeah. Okay, so the whales are the base vibration for all that bring in souls into avatars on Gaia. They sing their songs of love and send out clarity for the water to grow material life form. They consume the smallest of animal life, plankton, and become one of the biggest animals on Gaia, and therefore they have immense power to shift, to create something huge out of something so tiny. And it is through their vibrations, through their songs. They sing. The whale song is a line of where they swim in pods together and they sing. They create a line of frequencies that help shift Gaia and all the avatars or bodies. So from everything, from insects, because they go from the smallest thing through to the biggest thing, everything in between, plankton, and the size of their body, the biggest, largest thing on Gaia, everything in between encapsulates every single animal, right? That is that of what humanity knows about anyway in this reality. So they are the base, and they connect, they keep that vibration going. They're shifting their song. So their song is shifting into allowing beyond plankton into the etheric world and humanity's consciousness to... The only way you can open that door is through love of self. And even Gaia herself in the caves that she breathes through, you'll find the tunes have shifted. There's a whole other world being born here. It's like a split between two worlds. And as humanity rises into that other consciousness where it's just white light for anyone else that's in a lower consciousness, that's the split. So we might, they still live on Gaia, but they're living in such a consumerism world, they'll literally look like they're going crazy. Anyone caught in that is already a victim to themselves, caught in the wheel of that anyway. We can't save everybody because source energy wanted to experience the separation through that reality and that adventure there, even though to us it would be the worst thing ever. And even to them in that moment it could be the worst thing. It was still a decision created by themselves to begin with. It would get so uncomfortable that they either have to look at themselves or they give away their power entirely and be consumed by that. But Gaia in herself, she's literally giving birth to this whole new frequency through the consciousness of the collective of humanity. And our decisions, and when we decide we've had enough, we're not doing this anymore, we're going towards what makes us happy, we're going to trust our intuition and our imagination to create something new, and we're going to focus in on that. That brings in the light because we now love ourselves that much that that's what happens. So I hope this makes a bit of sense. It was a pretty powerful message, but just be aware in the next couple of months at least, it's going to be a bit... You'll either start to see into different dimensions or feel into different dimensions, or see or feel your animals are starting to speak to you more or love you more, or if you're caught in the old program, you literally might feel like you're going a little crazy here. So if you are feeling like you're going a little crazy and you want to step out of that, there has to be an expansion of one's awareness that we aren't just logic, and that logic doesn't necessarily rule. It can only grab from the past, project into the future. So just be aware that anything that comes at you that doesn't feel good, it's literally asking you to take that power back so that you say, no, I am just as powerful as whatever's approaching me. I choose not to have it in my reality anymore. I'm going to start focusing on what I want to create, what my imagination can conjure up even, because the imagination can only conjure up that which is from a past life, or something that it already knows, your soul already knows of, and then we're learning to ground that into this reality so that we can find more freedom and expansiveness within this reality. Okay, so I'll leave it there. Love you guys heaps. Bye.